Okay, welcome to another episode of 30 Minutes with dailystraits.com. This is your host, June Ramli. Our guest today is Brendan Malone, who is the co-founder and CEO of Raiz Invest Australia and Group COO of Raiz Invest Limited. So Brendan has over 20 years of experience in the financial industry, including the Royal Bank of Scotland, ABN AMRO, and has extensive experience across all aspects of investment banking, client coverage, and strategy, along with compliance and everything operational. Brendan is known for his ability to innovate and operate at a highly strategic level while driving operational excellence with strong attention to detail. So our chat today with Brendan would revolve around his company Raiz and all things money and investment related issues pertaining to those in Australia. So without further ado, let's invite Brendan to the show. Hi Brendan, how are you today?
Hi June, great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Awesome. So let's dive right into the question. So tell us, what the app is all about, Raiz.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one, Raiz, and I listened to what you're reading out my bio, and it does make me sound quite old and tired, and I've been doing things for a long time. But what's important about that is that I've had the experience in the banks, I've had the experience working with corporate customers and the high net worth individuals, and coming from Newcastle in Australia and then moving to London and working with Royal Bank of Scotland and seeing those exposures across the world, what brought both George Lucas and myself to, back in the day, Acorns, when it was first launched out here in Australia, was the fact that it empowers individuals to be financially literate. It provides hands-on experience in financial markets, financial literacy, and it also then it taps on the philosophy of financial inclusion and then drives down financial wellness. So that's what Raiz is about. And for people that don't know, it started as Acorns, and there is an app in the US called Acorns. But what it is, for as little as $5 and $5 Australian, you're invested into the market. So you deposit $5 today. Tomorrow you'll have $5 in a diversified portfolio of anywhere from 7 to 9 ETFs that are all quoted here on the ASX. And it really is as simple as that.
So is this like a branch out of Acorn, or are you completely independent from them?
We're independent now. When we first started, it was a 50-50 joint venture with the Acorns guys from the US. And then we sort of separated from those guys, or from Acorns, in the January of 2018. In April 2018, we went from the Acorns name to the Raiz name. And then in June 2018, we listed on the ASX under the code RZI. And the main reason from the split was that we wanted to take the app in a different direction than what Acorns was at the time. But it was also important to us that we had that we went into Southeast Asia. So with the 15 million that we raised on the initial listing, it helped us jumpstart the launch of our Indonesian business, which has about 250,000 customers at the moment, and then Malaysia, which has about 110,000.
Awesome. So I just want to add this question for developers out there who want to, do something like yours. Does investment apps in Australia require any kind of special Reserve Bank kind of approval from the government? Like, do you need any kind of government approval?
It's heavily regulated, so it's not from something like the Reserve Bank. How we operate, and it is important, because I think the way that you would approach an app like this is to make sure that the compliance side of it's all done before you spend the time, the effort, the months, the dollars on the technology build. And that was something that George is very good at, making sure that we had our Australian Financial Services license in place, had the appropriate licenses in place before we spent the time and money. Because once you lodge it with ASIC down here, it takes a period of time to get approved. So instead of doing the tech build, then doing the lodgement, and then waiting for the approval, we did the lodgement, we did the build, and then we got the approval, and away we went. So it is. I don't know if heavily regulated is the word, but it's correctly regulated to make sure, because at the end of the day, and especially dealing with retail customers, we're talking to mums and dads and individuals for $5, $20, $30. We have accounts that are $350,000, we had a $600,000. So it's important that we do the right thing by everybody's money, no matter how big they are.
Awesome. So, what is the competitive advantage out there with your app, especially when it comes to banks? Because you can also trade with a bank like NAB. You can open an account with NAB and trade, but they have like that $500,
minimum.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
June, I think you've pretty much hit the first one on the head, but I'll put it this way. When we look at our competitors, what provides us with the competitive advantage is that Raiz is an and app. It's not I have a NAB account and I have a Raiz account. You can have both, and that's the beauty of it, because it creates that diversification as well. But the features and the products that we've set up, Raiz is really there as a sort of set and forget. It's an automated savings platform or automated savings tool that will put you into the market. It will put you into a portfolio of ETFs quoted on the ASX, but it also gives that one step removed. And I'm a big offender of it. I know that if I have money in my NAB savings account, but I can have money in my other NAB savings account, if I need it, I can get onto my phone, I can transfer the money instantly, and then I can spend it. But what Raiz will do is it takes it out of my NAB bank account, it puts it into the stock market. So that instant gratification or instant urge that I might have is gone, because I have to sell down those ETFs. Under the ASX rules, it's a T2 settlement period. So I might withdraw it on a Monday. I won't get it back to Thursday. So that instant gratification or instant need's gone, and I've managed to save my money. So it's from a member point of view, or a member of the fund, or a member of having a Raiz account, it provides that one extra step as a competitive advantage. But it's when we first launched 5 or 6 years ago, it was a savings app with just that investment tool. Now today, there's about 19 different features in Raiz that creates that benefits, and one of them's Raiz Super. We have a superannuation offering. So in the palm of your hand, you can see your Raiz Invest account, and you could see your Raiz Super account and actively see how that's going. We offer something like Raiz Rewards, where you shop with one of the 500 plus merchants that are on our platform. They will put cash back, not cash back into your bank account where you can spend it again. It puts cash back into your portfolio. So they provide Raiz the money, then Raiz will buy the ETFs or your investments for you and turns it into those equity positions. So I think that's a superb competitive advantage out there.
Awesome. So can you tell me a number of people using your app to date? Like if you can reveal those numbers, or maybe a ballpark figure.
Yeah, I mean, we are in the business of roundups, so I will be. We do put out our numbers to the ASX every month, and we're due to put our August numbers out in the next couple of days. But it's around 300,000 active users, and what I mean by that is that means they've got an account balance greater than $5 in Australia. We've had about 1.2 million Aussies sign up. We're verified in KYC, or know your client, over 600,000 here in Australia, and then that comes down to about 300,000 monthly active. In Indonesia, they're big numbers as well. That active number is 250,000, and in Malaysia, it's 110,000. So quite a few, quite a few users.
So what's your brokerage fees like? Do you have any?
Well, we don't call them brokerage fees. What we've done, and the competitive advantage again from a Raiz point of view against our competitors, is it's a subscription model. So what that means is if you're in the one that the cheapest portfolio, the cheapest subscription option is $3.50 a month. So $3.50 Aussie a month. But what that means is I can put in money, I can deposit, I can withdraw, we have this function called a rebalancing or a switching, where if you're not comfortable being in the aggressive portfolio because of the market volatility or something's happened in the US overnight and you want to change, you can switch your portfolio from an aggressive portfolio to a conservative portfolio. Or you could go into the Emerald portfolio, which is our socially responsible theme. Or you think Bitcoin's going to do something, and we have a portfolio called Sapphire, where 5% of the holdings is allocated to hardcore Bitcoin. So you might want to switch into that. So all those deposits, withdrawals, and switching is all included in the monthly $3.50 fee.
So $3.50 and a minimum of $5 if
Yes.
you want to invest. Oh, some great product.
Very simple. Very
Yeah.
simple.
So end of financial year, so everyone is doing their taxes right now, and they're going to get a big chunk of money. So do you think this is the best time for them to probably open up an account with Raiz and start, dabbling into the share market?
We don't give professional or financial advice, and we're not, so it's general advice. What I can say is we do see people putting a larger amount of money in this time of year, and it's a bit like January and February. We see a lot of sign-ups come in because everybody's got two New Year's resolutions every year. I've got the same two every year: get fit, save money. So we see people sign up in the January and February. But what I mean by people putting in money at this time of year, if they have received a tax refund, is there's 4 ways to get money into your investment account. And as I said at the start, it's about automating, getting things done in the background of life. So the first one's roundups. So we look at your bank transaction and it'll say, hey, my bank statement will say you bought a coffee downstairs at the cafe for $3.50. The app will see that transaction for $3.50. It'll round it to $4. And it will hold that 50 cents until other roundups join it. And as soon as that goes over the threshold of $5, then it will do a direct debit to my bank account. So it's all done automatically. The second one is I could set up a recurring deposit. So I could do $1 a day, $1 a week, $1 a month. So again, it's all automated. And the third way is lump sum deposit. And that's when people may get a tax check, or from their birthday, they might get $50 from grandma or a friend or something. So they can put that one-off lump sum deposit in. And then the fourth way to get the money into the Raiz account is that Raiz Rewards program that I spoke about, where you shop with, my wife shops with bonds for kids' clothing. So then bonds will then put that cash back into her Raiz account.
Okay, what's your opinion on financial literacy? Do you think that's an important skill to have?
Oh, absolutely. Someone the other day said to me, what would you tell your 18-year-old self if you could go back to them? And it would be to get a Raiz account. I was fortunate enough for my parents to give me some education around stocks and I went straight after school. I went in to be an accountant, so I sort of had an understanding. But the biggest draw card for me to join George back in 2015 on this adventure was the opportunity that it creates for financial education and financial literacy. And what I mean by that is people would ring me and say, hey, Brendan, you work with a bank, you must know where to invest money. And it's like, no, it's not about investing. And one of my mates said, should I buy BHP shares or should I buy CommBank shares? And it wasn't about buying one share isn't the right thing. You've got to understand the market. You've got to understand what you're putting it in and what the risks are. But then you've got to understand diversification. So when we saw the Acorns product and said, okay, you're going into this aggressive portfolio. It's got exposure to the money markets. It's got exposure to corporate bonds, government bonds. It's got all the ASX 200 and corporate entities, those different asset classes within the investment opportunity. So by providing that diversification creates that education and awareness of what's out there. I remember on day one, in the first couple of months, I answered the phone for a customer and they said, oh, the papers and the news are telling me that the stock market's crashed. And I said, yes, but have you looked at the app itself? And they had $20 in it, and the $20 was now $19.90. And they're like, well, that's not as bad as I thought it would be. But because the media provides this, they need big numbers across the front of the paper to sell the paper. But what it meant in reality to this individual's Raiz account was, oh, okay, thanks. And they just hung up on me. There was the stress and everything had gone, but if he had realised and just looked at it himself, it would be part of that financial education and financial literacy. So I think it's huge, and there's a strong partnership and sponsorship that Raiz is doing down here in Australia with the Montessori schools, is to help create some sort of money and finance curriculum to be put into schools in Australia, and one day hopefully globally.
So Raiz is doing that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's good. When do you plan to start that?
We've started the work. It's just the writing a curriculum and getting it approved just takes time. And what are we now? September. So we're 9 months into the program.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Very exciting.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you this. So in 2020, during the height of the pandemic, there was a lot of people investing like crazy, and one of the apps that they were investing in was called Robinhood. And there was a bit of a saga there because some people realized that when they wanted to withdraw the money, they couldn't withdraw the money, and they found it very hard to get in touch with the people behind the app. So you guys are different. You are regulated and you're, in the market, share market, stock market, AXX, which means that you are, top of the class. But I am just curious, you see, when somebody invests money in this kind of apps, right? Where is the money stored?
Well, so backing it up to Robinhood, I think the important part and the culture and the product offering from day one that we saw was that customers, because $5, $10, $20, $80, $100 to an individual is a lot of money. So depending on their circumstances, so we made sure that our customer support is reliant and gets back to customers in a timely manner. But it was also important to, if a customer wanted their $5, $10, $20 back, make it very simple. And we have a nice bright red button in the app that says close my account, which will then send the money back to the funding source, which has to be an Australian bank account for the Australian apps. So that was what we thought was absolutely important there. But in the case of Raiz, what happens is you put in $10. So if I opened up my app today and said, hey, let's make a deposit, it would overnight tonight, it would direct debit my NAB, because I bank with NAB, my NAB everyday account, bring the money over to the Raiz trading account today. And then tomorrow's the weekend, so the next trading day, it will turn that $10 of cash into $10 of equity. So then we would transfer that $10 to the ASX or to the broker for settlement. So we don't actually physically hold the cash. We hold the units or the shares that you buy.
Okay, so everything is regulated in the cloud and it's all, okay, great.
Yep. And then what happens is because we are talking about mums and dads and retail money, we outsource our custodian. So if something ever happened to Raiz, June would go, hey, this is my Raiz account, this is my number, and then the third party custodian will say, well, these are the shares we own on your behalf.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So everything's cool. So okay, what about people who are overwhelmed with investment? So you see, there's this Melissa Cadec issue that happened because people felt like dealing with numbers and money is a bit when it comes to that, they just don't want to go there.
Yep.
So, and unfortunately for them, they had a very bad luck with that situation. So what is your advice on this? When somebody feels very hard, like they find this whole investing thing too hard to go forward, what is your advice for people like this? Like, what was the first step they should do?
Yeah, look, I think, and even my father told me years ago, you only invest in what you understand or what you can afford to lose. And I think that's the problem, that out there, people might be following other people's advice without completely understanding that themselves. Look, it took me a long time to get into Bitcoin compared to the rest of the market because I didn't understand it, so I wouldn't put money into it. I had to put money into it at some stage to get an understanding of it, but I personally don't invest in something that I don't understand. And this is what Raiz tries to do. It breaks down the barriers to investing. It breaks down the minimum investment, so it's $5. And what we do is small amounts of money over time consistently to create that wealth. So $5, $10. And when you get better, when you get educated or understand what you're doing, then we do. And we see the behavior of individuals, they will increase their investment. Something that we did, we originally launched with 5 portfolios. Our customers asked us for a social responsible, we built Emerald. Our customers asked us for an understanding of Bitcoin, so we built Sapphire. And so that was about 4 years into the journey, 5 years into the journey. And a lot of our customers had been with us since day one. And they were going, cool, you've now educated me on the market. I'm going to go off and do my trading. And we're like, hang on a sec, you're still, there is still some education there. It's different. It's you're in ETFs now, you want to go and trade in shares. So what we did was we created what we call customized portfolios. So we list all the ETFs. We've got 16 ETFs available in the app plus Bitcoin, and a customer can weight their own portfolios. So it gives them that extra hands-on experience to sort of continue to bring them up the training curve and the understanding curve. So I think no matter what you do, I mean, even, you know, I'm an accountant by trade. I work at Raiz, but if there's something wrong with my car and the repair guy rings me and says, is this a, hang on a sec, you're asking me to spend a lot of money. I need to understand what I'm spending my money on. And I think people need to understand that as well in the market or in financial investing, is to understand what you're going into, understand the risks associated with the product or the asset class that you're investing in.
Awesome. So what's the expansion plan like moving forward for the app? Like, is there any new markets that you want to go into?
So in Australia, we're really working hard on sort of increasing the awareness of the app inside the app and the education, the training tools. But we're also getting pretty ready to launch what we call our Raiz Property Fund. So we don't have any exposure to property in our apps or our asset classes. So we bought a business last year called Super Estate, which is a superannuation business that has a Australian residential property fund off to the side, and that they buy properties in there. So we've taken it out of super and put it on its own, so our Raiz Invest customers can have exposure to the Raiz property. So I think that's to Australian residential property through the Raiz Property Fund, which I'm very excited to do, and the feedback from our customers is pretty exciting. So there's some product developments over in Australia coming. We already said that we're in Indonesia and Malaysia. We've got an awesome staff member in Thailand that's on the ground there working with the regulator to get our licenses and structures in place there to go into Thailand. And then and Vietnam's on the list. So wow. between those, running the Australian or growing the Australian, Indonesia and Malaysian business, Thailand and Vietnam, that's enough. I mean, someone says to me, why can't you do more? I said, because there's not enough minutes in the day or hours in the day or days in the week. Yeah,
so is those the property one, would it be REIT, like REIT investments?
It's a REIT like trust, yes. Yeah, property fund, yeah.
For Australian investments or investments?
Yeah, just at this stage, it'll be just, well, it will be for Australian residential property.
Okay.
So the REIT that we have set up for the superannuation or the super estate business currently owns 10 properties all around Australia.
Okay, wow. So that started or is going to start?
That's started. That's been running. Grant's been running that business now for about four or 5 years. And now we're about to launch our new REIT, which will be for the Raiz Invest product.
When will that be launched?
We're just finalising the PDS and all the regulatory requirements now. So, I'd love to say in 2 to 3 weeks, but it's probably 4 to 5 weeks.
Awesome. Yeah. So who's your competitor in Australia? Do you have a competitor?
I think
are the banks
anybody taking a retail deposit, really? Do I put my money into Raiz or do I put my money into my savings account with NAB or CBA? So I think that's at a higher level. There's no direct competitor though that does everything we do. Our technology stack is amazing, and what I mean by that, it does everything from customer acquisition. We're out there, we're doing digital advertising. It's talking to the front end, it's talking to the back end to get the customer in. But then we do everything, and I sort of mentioned that we do deposits, withdrawals. We do all that. We do all the investing at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, if you put in your $5, we'll give you a contract statement at the end of the day, like you would through a normal broker, to say your $5 has been bought across these 7 ETFs, and this is the percentages. Then we give you a month-end statement that says your opening month, closing month, these are all the movements. Then we give you an annual tax statement that you can either upload to the ATO or give to your tax accountant. So we do it all. There's no one out there. And then you add in the education, the My Finances and the budgeting tools in there, plus Raiz Home Ownership, plus Varley, which is our property valuation model, plus all the property stuff. There's nobody doing everything that we do. Competitors do parts of, but not everything that we do. So I think the tech's pretty amazing.
Awesome. So Brendan, this is the final question. So this is gonna take you back a bit. So you and George teamed up 5 or 6 years ago, right, to start this business. It probably was a big risk because you left your full-time job and then you went into this. So what was the thinking behind that? If you take us back, like why did you do this, and did it cost you a lot of money to just, because every business has a bit of investment. And what was your take? Did you do like a survey, a business plan of yours, or you just felt like, it's time for me to move on and do something on my own?
Yeah, look, from a personal point of view, my personal point of view, it was time for me to try something new. And I'm a big believer is if you have trouble getting out of bed because you're not happy with your job, make a change. It's up to you as an individual. So I was very fixed on doing that, and then I was fortunate that the Acorns opportunity came up. But I think, speaking for myself, the financial literacy, the financial inclusion that the app provided was the big selling point for me. I was looking for what's my next challenge, what's my next role, where should it be? Should it go back? Should I go into a bank, or should I go, try the investment houses or something like that? That's what drew me to it. And then we sort of spoke about it, and George had already done some focus groups around it to see how would the take up be. And George had been to the US and spoken to the Acorns guys. And that's what sold me on it, was that his passion around it combined with my passion and belief around it. We thought, right, this is going to work. And look, we had expectations on day one, and that was from watching the US business go live about 6 months before ours. But the take up was amazing. We were absolutely stoked with it because it resonated with people. And whilst the automation feature is just something that I think everybody should give a go and see what it creates for them and provides that education and understanding. But it does it in the background of life. Everybody has a budget. Everybody says they have a budget, but they don't stick to it, or they set their budget like this, but then they leave this section out here for whatever I've got left over, I'll invest or just save. But what the Raiz app does is bring it all in together, and you're saving as you're spending.
Awesome. So, all right, that's all the time that we have for today. We have just been speaking to Brendan Malone, the co-founder and CEO of Raiz Invest Australia. Thank you so much, Brendan, for joining us today.
Great to be here, June. And if anybody wants to check us out, check out the website and join up.
Yes, I will do that soon. Thank you. The pleasure is all ours. Be sure to join us the next time as we aim to interview another awesome entrepreneur from across Australia. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.